meeting. My name is Gina Midico with MnDOT, and I'm the chair of the committee. The first item of business is to approve the agenda. Does anyone have any proposed changes or modifications? Yes, changes and modifications are the same thing. Additions or changes. All right, seeing none, the agenda is approved as presented. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the June 12th, 2025 TAC planning minutes. Hopefully everybody had a chance to review those. Does anyone have any modifications? And if not, I would be looking for a motion to approve.
This is Dave Burns. I will make that motion to approve last month's meeting minutes.
All right, thanks, Dave. Anyone else, or a second, I mean?
I can second it. This is Patrick Boylan.
Okay, thanks, Patrick. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I will ask Jed to take the roll call then.
Jorge Bernal, Anoka County.
Aye.
Mark Culver, Brooklyn Park.
Here.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry.
Gotcha. Thank you. Drew Flommer, Carver County.
Aye.
Charlie Howley, Chanhassen. Scott Peters, Dakota County.
Aye.
Dan Patterson, Hennepin County.
Aye.
Bridget Reef, Mac. Patrick Boylan, Community Development.
Aye.
David Burns, MTS.
Aye.
Patrick Haney, Metro Transit.
Aye.
Kathleen Mayell, City of Minneapolis.
Ethan Foley and sitting in for Kathleen. Aye.
Gina Midico, MnDOT.
Aye.
Innocent AO, MPCA.
Lauren Dickerson's here, and aye.
Kevin Rockenbach, Ramsey County. Anton Jervy, City of St. Paul.
Aye.
John Rudolph, Scott County.
Aye.
Sunita Kasishwa, Suburban Transit.
Aye.
Elaine Katsukos, Tab Coordinator.
Aye.
Sarah Allen, Washington County.
Aye.
And Chris Hartzell, Woodbury. All right, Chair, there were 16 ayes.
All right, thanks, Jed. The next item on the agenda is any public comment on committee business. Are there any members of the public online that have wished to make a public comment? And don't see anyone on the list. Jed, do you?
Non-registered.
Okay, great. Thank you. So seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is a business item. And I think we did see a preview of this a couple of months ago. So this is a recommendation to release the draft 2050 Transportation Policy Plan Amendment number 2. This is the aviation system plan. So we would be releasing this for public comment if approved. And it looks like we have Joe Whiting to present and possibly Cole with a role as well.
I think it'll just be me. Thanks, Chair.
Okay.
I don't have a presentation, but I'll just kind of share the business item and just speak on it real quick for 1 second.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, so I'm back again. It's our third meeting in a row with aviation stuff. I promise you I won't be back for a while on these, so we'll give you a break. But so yes, I'm back with the aviation system plan TPP Amendment 2 to release for public comment. So as Chair Minico mentioned, I was here 2 months ago and gave an information item on kind of what we're considering in the update and how the update process went. Essentially, as noted, this amendment is for the purpose of replacing and updating the aviation section of the TPP in full after undergoing a thorough and more complete review and update of the plan.
Uh-oh, Joe, you've frozen.
Okay.
Yeah,
thought
I
it was
lost.
me.
I lost internet connection there for a second. Apologies on that. That was weird. Okay, but yeah, so sorry about that. But so that, as I mentioned, this TPP amendment will be to update the minor update that we completed with the actual TPP adoption in February. Little note is on the actual public comment period. So this item will be going through to the Met Council to be released for the required 45-day public comment period for TPP amendments. This public comment period will be from September 25th, so the 8th, and there will be a public hearing held on October 29th. That is included in the business item at the bottom here for your information. And with that said, if there's any additional questions or comments, we can take that. Otherwise, we'll be moving through to get this to public comment in September.
Thanks, Joe. Do any committee members have any questions on the item?
This is Innocent Ayo with the Ministry of Pollution Control Agency. Yeah, the only question I have, I wanted to know how noise issue were addressed in the system plan. Most of the projects in the airports, especially airport, completed, or there's still some of the noise issue related to residencies have been being completed, or they're still planning for the future?
Thanks for the question, Innocent. And so I'd say for noise, so noise is something that's very closely regulated by the Federal Aviation Administration. They have their own advisor circulars, which kind of both lead us and our airport partners in how to think about noise impacts on surrounding communities. And so what we have is the builder's guide for mitigating aircraft noise, and that both covers land use and kind of more of that retrofitting of existing properties. That was completed in 2006, and that is something in the plan we've identified as that builder's guide is completely dependent on updated when the FAA, or if the FAA guidance is updated as well. But the builder's guide is as part of the amendment, if you in that supporting information section to that. And so if you go, and that's the second section with the actual plan. So that is something that's identified that I have heard, at least in the last year or two, that the FAA is thinking about updating those advisory circulars to for potentially noise impacts, or even changing how they measure noise impacts. However, that has not been, there's no final rule on that yet, but that is something that in the plan we've identified. If there does a final rule that comes in that either changes how we measure or what we're measuring for noise impacts, then we will then come back through this plan process to update that builder's guide and then re-amend this chapter when that update is complete. And so like a lot of things in aviation, we're kind of dependent on the federal government and kind of leading us that way, as they have a lot of control over aviation. And so that is, but that's something we identified as when we can update that, we will per FAA guidance.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Would anyone care to make a motion?
So moved.
Great, thanks. Was that Patrick?
Yes.
All right, thank you. We have a motion for Patrick Boylan.
Yep, this is Drew Flower. I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Okay, hearing none. Jen, go ahead and take the roll call.
Bernal,
Aye.
Culver,
Aye.
Mark Culver, gotcha. Okay, Farmer,
Aye.
Peters,
Aye.
Patterson.
Aye.
Brief. Boylan.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Haney.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Mitico.
Aye.
Ao.
Aye.
Roggenbach. Jervy.
Aye.
Rudolph.
Aye.
Cassishwa.
Aye.
Katsukos.
Aye.
Allen.
Aye.
And Hartzell. Chair, there were 16 ayes.
Thanks, Jed. We have one more business item, and this is another one that we have heard about in the past couple of months. This is related to recommending adoption of the draft 2026 Unified Planning Work Program to release it for public comment. This time we do have a presentation, right, Bethany?
Yes,
And
thank you.
Bethany will lead us through that.
Thank you, Chair and members. We are back for a third time as well. But here today to ask for an action. So as a reminder, the Unified Planning Work Program describes all of the Council's transportation-related planning activities that are paid for by federal funds. We'll talk a little bit more at the end here about our regionally funded planning activities as well. These do reflect all of the effort that we just completed with the update of the Transportation Policy Plan and is beginning to advance a lot of the studies and efforts identified there. Our planning activity categories in the federal UPWP look slightly different this year. We have pulled out that sixth task that indicated all of the locally or regionally funded work. So this year you'll see those 5 tasks, and each activity includes our staff time, consultant expenditures, and the tasks and major products. We do have a requirement to spend 2.5% of our budget on Complete Streets activities, and we do a lot of modal planning that all include multimodal planning. But this year we do have a Complete Streets consultant study. Well, for 2026, we have a Complete Streets consultant study that will begin ensuring that we are well above that 2.5%. Our 2026 budget for the federal UPWP is around $11 million total. We are staying right around that $2 million consultant study cost that we've been at the same level for the past 2 UPWPs. And there is a second document linked in this action item today, and that regional work program is now where the former non-CPG activities are living. So those are projects like the right-of-way acquisition loan fund that we administer locally, aviation planning activities, and our TDM program, as well as quite a few consultant studies that are no longer federally eligible for those planning dollars. So we have been able to fund them locally to ensure that we continue advancing those important topics, and they primarily relate to equity and climate work. Our next steps, we're here to ask today for an action to release for public comment. If that action passes, we will release it tomorrow, and the public comment period will close Friday, August 1st. It will go to TAC and TAB in August, and then to Transportation Committee and the Council for adoption in September. So I'm going to stop for any questions. Otherwise, I will pass it to the chair.
Hey, Bethany, can you go back one slide to that? Okay, thanks.
Any questions for Bethany?
Yeah, I don't have a question. I just wanted to see that process thing again. Thanks.
And we did discuss this at TAC, I believe. And Jed, you had mentioned, so the TAC will see this on August 6th, which is after the public comment period closes, correct? But the public comment report will not be available.
We are,
Correct.
okay.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say,
we can have
depending
some
on how
high-level
many-
themes.
Yeah, depending on how many comments we receive, will determine whether we can get the public comment report complete before that August 6th TAC meeting.
But it will be completed for TAB, obviously.
Definitely. Yes.
So I just wanted to give a heads up on that since that was mentioned at TAC. And then I do have one small question. The projects, the studies that will be federally funded, do those funds then become available upon adoption, or is it based on the federal fiscal year? So would it be October 1st, or is it the calendar year?
Our funds for the UPWP begin at the calendar year. So this grant agreement will be for January 1st.
Okay, thank you. Any additional comments or questions? Does anyone have a motion?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Innocent.
A quick question. Yeah, I was saying that I think this year's UPWP, the format has totally changed. There used to be a section where when you deal with each of the section or story, you would have a section that says participation from agencies that review, like PCA plays a part of it, and MNDOT, MARC, and Met Council. In one section that I was referring to, and maybe because of the change in federal priority, it was efficient air quality and climate change, where we have to list different projects we're working on, other working with Met Council or MNDOT or other agencies. But I don't see that anymore. Just have the 5 major activities. Is that the only area that are allowed to be handled this time, or?
Thank you for the question, Innocent. So I think there are multiple questions in that question. The first is air quality and climate change planning were separated to reflect the new federal priorities and what they will allow funded with federal planning dollars. So that climate change work now shows up in the regional planning work program, which is that secondary document.
Okay.
If you are looking for, in the previous UPWP, each activity had a section that said something like relationship to other agencies' work. That too has been pulled out of each activity and is in the introduction section of the federal UPWP.
Okay. All right, I will take time and look for that and just see how that is handled on this one.
Yeah, and if you'd like to see changes, certainly send them to us during the public comment period and we can get those reflected.
All right, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Innocent. Any additional questions or comments? Does anyone have a motion?
Yeah, this is Dave Burns. I will make the motion to recommend adoption of the 2026 UPWP for public review and comment, or release for public review and comment. Sorry.
All right, thanks, Dave. Do we have a second?
If it's required that your last name begins with B to do a second on this one, I will do it.
And be a staff member at the Met Council. Yes, thank you.
Otherwise, anyone else can.
It's very quiet today. All right, thank you, David and Patrick. We have a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? If none, I will ask Jed to take the roll call vote. Thanks.
Jorge Bernal,
Aye.
Mark Culver,
Aye.
Drew Flommer,
Aye.
Charlie Howley, Scott Peters,
Aye.
Dan Patterson,
Aye.
Bridget Reef, Patrick Boylan,
Aye.
Dave Burns,
Aye.
Patrick Haney,
Aye.
Ethan Foley,
Aye.
Gina Medico.
Aye.
Innocent Ao,
Aye.
Anton Jervy,
Aye.
John Rudolph,
Aye.
Sunita Kasishwa,
Aye.
Eileen Katsukos,
Aye.
Sarah Allen,
Aye.
Chris Hartzell. Chair, there were 16 ayes.
All right, thank you, Jed. Let's see, I lost my agenda, but I think that was the last business item. We do not have any information items today. Is there any other business for the committee? All right. Seeing none, we can adjourn the meeting then. Thank you, everyone. That was a nice quick one, and we will see you next month.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.